The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Hope you enjoyed Mission Minded. Keep in mind your mission, your mind. I almost forgot to say that. I always say keep in mind your mission on your mind. I love that. Bite by Bite, a show that we've always done, and we've been doing for a couple of years. Primarily, we talk about, of course, the Heart of Alabama Food Bank. But it's really about non-for-profits as well, because that's what you've been doing for a lot of your life. And I know that you kind of want to take Bite by Bite in a little bit of a different direction. It's because you're growing too. What you doing?
Yeah, so we part of what I want to do is, well, you know, in food banking, it's very, very specific. And I've tried to help educate people and make it informative. But one of the things I'm doing that I'm passionate about, I love to teach, I love to coach, I love to do those kind of things, and especially about the nonprofit realm, because, as I've said before, there's so much mediocrity in the nonprofit. And there's so many areas, from having the right people to how to develop boards, how for people being on the board, what makes a good board director. And there's just so much untapped potential there. So I really want to expand out our program, still keep it at about 10 minutes, you know, little bites of information, but just little things people can put in their pocket and focus on and help them be better prepared, because not only so many people work in nonprofit space, but they serve on boards, or they're donors or volunteer at nonprofits. They're connected in some way to a nonprofit in their community.
You know, Mike, and I think a lot of people get into non-for-profits thinking to themselves, even if this doesn't work, at least we're doing something positive.
Yeah.
We want to take it beyond that. If you're going to put the time and effort into something, you get a board and raise money and do all these things. Yeah. Let's make this actually work something. Because a lot of times, I used to say when we did the Bright House Foundation, if we didn't have a lot of money coming in, we were still advocates. We were still advocating for special needs individuals and children in our area. And it was important that we got out there and shook hands and tell people what we're doing, even though we weren't a multi-million-dollar business. And so, just talk a little bit about the loss of opportunity a lot of times, because a lot of them, hey, I'm getting together to do a nonprofit. Sure, I'd love to help out. I'm a giver. I'd love to help you out any way I can. I'd love to be on your board for your non-for-profit, what you got going on, and how you make that connection with the people that are actually going to be running the show.
Yeah, so just the nonprofit world is its own unique thing. And there's so many people in the nonprofit space who just know inherently that it should be greater. There could be a greater impact, and they may have their own thoughts about it, but then we just seem to just muddle along. I will give you a great example. Right before the show started, I was meeting with two bankers in our community who came, want to offer support. And I know one of them very well, and she is a board chair for another nonprofit. And we started talking about nonprofits, and she started talking about the challenges and all the things associated with that. And I started telling her, this is exactly why I'm offering this training. I started diagnosing her situation. And I said, this is just what I know from a distance. And she said, it's like you've been sitting in on our meetings. And I said, because I've seen so much of this problematic behavior. And again, one of the greatest problems that lead us to this is the nonprofits and who you hire to lead. We hire people who are passionate about the mission, but we don't hire people who know anything about how to run a business. And the problem in the nonprofit space, maybe above everything else, is people don't run them like businesses, because they don't know how a business should be run. They just think, I'm just going to show up and people are going to be passionate about what we're doing, and they're just going to drop money in our lap. And it doesn't work like that. And you should run a nonprofit like you're competing. Like if I have a food bank, I told our employees, I want to act like there's a food bank right down the street that other people could go to, but they're going to come to us because they choose to. We're going to win their business, not because we're the only food bank in 35 counties.
Yeah.
So we have to operate that way, which customer service, just all the things that go with that. And I just feel like to our audience, it would be a greater benefit to them to talk about some of those things. I would still use our food bank Heart of Alabama is still going to sponsor we still want to use food bank analogies and stuff. But there's so many things that apply just across the board to food banks that I really feel like we can help more people battle some of these challenges.
Absolutely.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
HAFB, hashtag HAFB or HAFB.org. Check out the wonderful website. Michael, till next week. Thank you, sir.
All right, buddy.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.